Alrighty, we are apparently live, so welcome again, everyone, to the next episode of the Foally of Man, now in higher, crisper definition.
Yeah, more definition than anybody ever wanted of our faces.
More than anyone ever should have.
So, this is the Foally of Man. He's Chris, I'm Robert, and we are discussing the fan fiction Fallout Equestria.
Yes, we are, which is a melding a little bit of Fallout and Bronies. So,
and you're the Brony. I'm not the Brony. We discuss,
and we see if what works, what doesn't, and kind of figure out what to do, where to go from there.
There's definitely some things. There's definitely a thing at the end of this chapter that I'm like, this does not seem significant to me at all. But clearly, everything is always framed, and it's like slowly little bits of details are revealed, and like as a super fan would be, you know, it's obvious that it's supposed to be like, oh my god, it's this location finally. All right, so in today's episode we are covering chapter 41,
Towards Hope. For many of us, the road is a difficult one, but the path is always there for us to follow, no matter how many times we may fall.
So where we last left Little Pip and Calamity had just inferred to Little Pip that she was going to be bait for the Wonderbolts. Wonderbolts!
Which is hilarious. And it's actually brought up as hilarious later on as well in the chapter itself. So they realize they have to speak to God. Not that God, the other one.
Gaudina.
And so
Grimsbeak, right? That's her last name?
Grimfeathers.
It is Grimfeathers. Why do I always confuse it? I was going to say Grimfeathers. I'm like, no, that's not right. It's Grimsbeak.
Yeah.
I'm the worst.
Raven Rock.
then again, I'm not a Brony.
So I actually do have a question for kkat if she wants to answer this. Why isn't there a location in Fallout Equestria called Raven Rock? In every single Bethesda game, there's a location called Raven Rock.
Interesting.
It's kind of a to-do that they do. I have no idea why, but they always have one.
By the way, in the last chapter, or maybe it was this one, there's a reference to Celestia Prime.
Yes.
It's mentioned.
Yeah.
It can't be what I think it is.
Yeah, it is. It's explained in this chapter.
I guess I wasn't paying close enough attention to it.
Yeah, it's mentioned. I think it's one of the things where if you were reading it, you could be like, oh, okay. But as it's an audio book, it's like literally a sentence.
Yeah, it was very short. So I was like, Celestia Prime.
Yeah. They mentioned that the Everfree
remove stripe.
And the magic of the Everfree is preventing the weather from because the Enclave is currently like shutting down everything by putting rainstorms and thunderstorms all over the place, but the Everfree ain't having it. And it's like, nope, no weather here. Which is explained in the show early on. In fact, it's the second episode.
By the way, supposedly, I was looking at Twitter. Apparently, season 8 just premiered.
Yeah.
Does that mean anything to anybody at home?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean anything to
what
me.
Season did you stop watching?
I think it was 6. I think it was 6.
You made it to 6.
Yeah.
Or you stopped at the beginning of 6.
I think it was at the beginning. I can't remember.
Okay.
The last episode that I really watched was the one with the Fallout Equestria pseudo reference that everyone wants to say is a reference.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, and you did see the movie. In fairness, you did see the movie
in theaters. So let's see.
So we speak to God.
We do speak to God. Well, we go through a few things. So the Enclave has stripped all the resources above the cloud layer.
Right, because they don't actually have the capability of making the technologies that they have.
Well, even then, they don't have the resources to make it. So
they also don't have the resources.
All the resources that they can get their dirty little hooves on. So let's see. I'm trying to remember what the series of events was here, because it kind of hops back and forth. This is a very not wordy chapter, I would say, but there's a lot of figuring out where we are, what's going on. Very interesting in that regard. A lot as well as a lot of characters playing off of each other, so it's very fun. So they say that the Enclaves is spooked because Ditsy Do.
So here's the deal. In a week's time, They've lost a majority, not a majority. They've lost a significant number of their raptors. They've lost hundreds of troops.
Yep.
They lost one of their, what do you call their super stratus?
Thunderheads.
Thunderheads. They've lost a Thunderhead. They assume they lost a Thunderhead at Maripony.
Yeah, we pretty much understood. It's gone.
It was Maripony where the goddess was.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So they said because the leader who would have been there. So essentially, the High Council lost their Thunderhead.
Yep.
They've lost like hundreds of troops, and in 2 instances, they've lost one of their towers, which controls their clouds and their cities, which means I assume they lose the clouds in that area.
No, but it does mean that the ultimate plan of them using that
single
system
Pegasus project
would be hampered.
Yeah, it would be weakened.
Yeah, because you wouldn't be able to use that tower to project it.
Yeah, correct. It would be a blind spot for them. But also on top of everything else, they have all these super powerful creatures that they suddenly don't know what to do with. So they don't know what kind of powers Homage has. They don't know that Homage can't do an explosion. They just know that it's happened once.
Yeah,
and they can't afford for it to happen again. And
yeah,
then
they're in a really terrible way because they just militaristically they have had no real world training, and they're going up against guerrilla fighters who have been entrenched for their entire lives in this setting. They are wholly out trained. They have better technology. They have better. It's even mentioned by Cage. It's like, listen, just because they've got all these fancy suits, or maybe it was Reggie, just because they have these fancy suits, they've never actually fought anybody. 200 years of isolation. Who the hell have they fought other than Griffins at one point? But if you're the children of the children of the children who fought in the Griffin War, I mean, they have literally no combat experience. It's all just training. So anyway, moving on.
I forgot to mention, and plus they're scared shitless of Ditsy Doo's Sonic Rad Boom.
Oh yeah, because I mean, they were saying, how do we know how many Ghoul Pegasi are below the cloud layer, and how many of them can recreate that power?
It has to be understood. The only ponies, Pegasus ponies, that can do a Sonic Rain Boom are the Wonderbolts. If you can do it, they make you a Wonderbolt. Mm-hmm. Basically, they control them.
It's a very, very rare talent.
Now, that being said, we do know that one of Calamity's brothers had to have been able to do it, and no longer is a member of the Wonderbolts, right?
Yeah, he elevated out.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
it's interesting. But we should actually talk about what Calamity's plan is.
Oh yes, Calamity's plan.
It's not to overpower them.
No, it is to save them,
to find the hope in all of them.
So yeah, that's going to be interesting. So they're planning on stripping. So they have, and this is later on in the chapter, they have the doc from Tin Pony take Calamity's memories of his perspectives of what happened, and they're going to project those into the minds of the Wonderbolts. Very risky, but we'll see if it works.
Well, originally Calamity's plan is for them to use the to actually make memory orbs.
Yeah, but they don't have any recollectors to give them because, like, look, this thing, there's only one. We're not letting you have it to take it out in the middle of combat.
Right. And so he wants to submit like 5 memories to them, and they have to experience the entire length of the memory each. How are you going to keep them isolated and controlled for so long?
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
It's unrealistic. But fortunately, the God Machine says,
yeah.
I just happen to have a memory spell that Twilight developed that allows me to force memories into people's heads.
It is faster. However, it still does take time. So there is that little
and
bit
there's only one pony who can cast it.
Mm-hmm. So the God Machine has given itself a limp, which is good.
We also see Little Pip describe a game of what's essentially poker. From the perspective of a pony that...
a pony.
From a pony, yeah.
Ponies don't have card games. Why would they have card games?
Well, Pip says it. So, like, unicorns could play.
Yeah.
But why would you play a game that you can't play with your other pony friends?
There's no way to hold the cards.
All right.
That'd be useful.
For our listeners at home, kkat says that the spell that I'm referring to, forcing a memory, was the first season 2 reference in the book. So apparently it is canonical. That don't mean shit to me, but I guess it means something to you.
Yeah, I also put in here, Pip has never seen poker, regardless of the fact that she would if given the opportunity.
Oh, jeez. Little apple bobbing.
We also, oh boy, we also learned that the Ditsy's guard is named Gilgamesh.
Yeah, and apparently doesn't sleep.
No.
So there's a reference there that nobody seems to understand, that he never sleeps. You know, he never tires. So is he an android? Is he a synthetic?
It's not. No, it's never. I didn't know.
I just thought it was an interesting note.
Yeah. Maybe he just sleeps with his eyes open. And so everybody's like, oh my gosh, he's awake and alert at all times. He's like,
I don't know. That may be the case. I just thought it was an interesting line to have in there if it's not for that.
Yeah. So they have.
We also can't find Silverbell.
Yeah, and
they're trying to locate. Like Pip mentions it 3 times.
Yeah,
Silverbell really should be back by now.
Yeah,
you know, nobody seems to be concerned that this little filly is missing.
Well, like, to be fair, that's the stable dweller coming out, because think of it, you're in a world where what's the infant mortality rate?
Yeah.
So you kind of like have to emotionally detach yourself from children, because otherwise it will probably fucking kill you.
Pip understands that, like in Fallout, children can't die.
Ah, yes.
Which in this story we have seen.
It did.
No, I was going to say children have absolutely died in this story.
So yeah, that's my thinking on it.
Anyways, they rush to the mayor's office, assuming that there's a fight, that there's going to be this big battle, and they burst in, guns at the ready, and it's a Pinkie Pie surprise party.
Yes, and Pip shoots a balloon.
Which could have very well been somebody's head.
It might have just been an allegory for somebody's head.
Yeah. But it also shows how war changes you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How the wasteland changes you. Something as simple as a surprise party is seen as a threat.
Yeah.
You listening to me or reading comments?
I mean, both. I can do both. I'm not a single track mind. So yeah, they hold a party in Ditsy's honor. There's a lot of back and forthing. We meet up with Crane again, who, if you remember, taught Little Pip a lot of the telekinetic abilities.
Well, and he talks to her about being able to fly, and he's like, "That's pretty impressive." He says, but Pip was talking about burnout, and he says, "Usually it takes me about 2 laps around the city before I burn out."
Yeah.
So not only can he fly, but he can do it for great distances.
Well, yeah.
And apparently
she can now. I mean, it's just her. She's been pushing herself to the edge. I don't think she's ever come back to full potential.
Well, and the thing is too, excuse me. He has a way to restore magical energy. Mm-hmm. There's essentially a potion that allows
that he'll give to Pip if Pip can solve the mysteries of the haunted farm.
There's even, she's like, I don't have time for a side quest like this. And then she's like, wait, is anybody in harm? Oh no, nobody's in harm that I know of. Oh God.
I just kind of had a little moment in the notes here about bitching about that quest, because you have to find the guy in the den, and they never mention. Oh my God, I just hated that so much. Stupid design there. Okay, so
as long as it's not an escort quest, I think we can all agree.
It was worse. It was so much worse.
So something I've discovered is that even in Zelda Breath of the Wild, there is one escort mission. There's still an escort mission. Fudge.
So they talk to God, and God agrees to take Ditsy and Silverbell to Spike's cave as protection. Now, Little Pip does not reveal the purpose behind this. She's just like, the Enclave are going to be after him, so you need to take him somewhere where they'll be safe, but safer than a dragon's den. God's like, crazy. You're just nuts. No.
Yeah.
But she agrees after some.
Well, really, she relents when she sees how important Silverbell and Ditsy are for each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah.
she says, you've got yourself a deal.
Yeah.
You know, somebody in the wasteland deserves to be happy. They deserve to be happy. So what we see is a soft side that.
Well, yeah, I mean, God's still a mother. I mean,
yeah.
And she's obviously a damn good mother.
Oh, and they're still needling Pip about checking out God.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, you know, I'm not into you, or like, you're not my type.
And we overhear the group from Fluttershy's cottage from way back talking about what they're going to name their group.
The Crusaders, isn't that what?
Yeah, they call themselves the Wasteland Crusaders after the Cutie Mark Crusaders. But God, they say no.
Deus Celestia Volt.
Yeah, the Enclave just comes down and one pops a gun in his head. Saracen.
We must take back Canterlot from the changelings,
from the light of the Sun Lord. No snakes of any kind. There's nothing heroic about snakes. I thought she had a point. What kind of group of friends would name themselves after snakes?
Tunnel snakes rule.
Tunnel snakes rule.
Oh, good. All right, Shinigami arrows. Hi, kkat. Hi, Chris. No hi for you, Robert. Great. Okay.
You haven't been a good enough boy.
I don't know if I want to be your good boy.
Especially with the spelling BOI.
Oh, I ain't your prison bitch. Come here, boy.
So Cage and Reggie, with some talking as well, decide to join the companions. Say, look, you are whatever you're doing.
It's important.
It's way more important than whatever the hell else is going on right now.
Mom wouldn't say this to your face, but she greatly appreciates what you did because she knew what the end game was for the goddess. And
she knows what the end game is for all of this. Everybody's kind of like understanding what the hell's going on because you see these massive forces that are starting to pit themselves against each other, and the individual, like, you call them city-states, and individual areas, those are going to be completely obliterated.
It should be stated. It should be stated before we forgot because we kind of glazed over it. We find out that the Enclave did encounter the Griffins at Shattered Hoof, and they decimated the Enclave. They just blew them out of the skies.
Yeah.
The way they describe it was a slaughter, that they were just not prepared to fight a well-trained, because they're all mercenaries. They had years and years of wasteland battle experience. And not only that, but they have wasteland battle experience against things that fly. I mean, think about having to fight off Bloodwings, and then you deal with the Enclave, and the Enclave are just slow, flighty. They're a little sharper, they're a little pokier because they have laser weapons, but at the same time, let's look at it this way: a Griffin was able to best Rainbow Dash. Now, granted, Rainbow Dash was weakened from the cloud at Canterlot, but a Griffin was able to best Rainbow Dash. So, I mean, Griffins are not anything to screw with.
Oh no, they have claws.
Yes, and beaks,
and paws.
Yeah.
So,
however that works. Their back isn't the only thing that's covered in feathers.
Okay, so. And guess who's back?
New challenger approaches.
Velvet
has entered the arena.
She kind of apologizes a little bit.
She also apparently ran the entire way.
And there's kind of an intersplicing of different things. She introduces Velvet to Crane because they obviously didn't know each other.
Well, actually, Velvet's already talking to Crane. And then she's like, I want to introduce you to somebody. He claims he's the most powerful telekinetic in the wasteland. And she's like, obviously, he's never met you. And then Pip's like, oh, master.
And they bow to each other. And then Zenith, apparently cloaked, goes up and
just appears.
Now you must say, and now the student has become the master. Why? Why should I say that? Because it is necessary.
Because it is the order of things. Yeah. It is how it must be. Yes, the apprentice should always surpass the master. The servant waits.
Well, the master baits. Okay. So then you hear this kind of like high-pitched squeal as something shoots across and slams.
The orange blur.
As Calamity piles into Velvet, happy as a clam.
Oh, he piles into her.
Yeah, nightly.
Well, now. Anyways, there's a real awkward exchange between them, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it happens in a little bit.
Oh, you want to build up to it?
Well, I mean.
But anyways. We basically see our first Thunderhead class siege platform.
Yeah, we see it.
What is the equivalent in the Fallout universe? Is it the I'm trying to remember.
I'd really now say it's the Prig one.
Well, no. So that was the first thought I had. Obviously, this preceded the Pridwin, so it has a lot like that. But originally, is it like the Enclave crawler? I can't remember what that thing was called.
Yeah.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah, I would say it's the crawler. But I would say go with now, obviously, the Pridwin, because that's what makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know how that fits thematically and with the rest of the Fallout universe. I don't.
Yeah.
Skyships.
So, we have it here that My Little Pony stole from kkat. Now we have it that Fallout stole from kkat.
Yeah, it's actually really obvious. The more you go through this, because like when all the people were playing it, they're like, "Wow, this is very reminiscent." Velvet Remedy says, "You have a plan." You for that.
Yep. Calamity is going to save the Wonderbolts.
He's going to save the Wonderbolts.
Although, are they? I see your note here. Shadow bolts. Are they called shadow bolts?
No.
No. Okay.
No. That's a reference to the second episode of the show, where to beguile Rainbow Dash, Nightmare Moon impersonates and falsifies this group of ponies called the Shadow Bolts, who claim to be the best flyers in Equestria, to bring Rainbow Dash to their side.
Interesting.
Oh, there's a shout out to Fallout Equestria and Fallout 4. I know. I don't know how much I trusted, though. It seems a little bit vague.
What's the reference?
We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
It's slightly
Spoilery?
relevant. It's slightly relevant.
Okay.
But it's just, yeah. But when things started working in our favor, it tended to make me nervous. Okay, Little Pip says. And I was thinking, what are all these health potions and ammo packs doing in the antechamber?
Something's about to go down.
Something always wants to go down. Second, everything works out in your favor. Be very cautious.
Mm-hmm. Beware Greeks bearing gifts.
Mm-hmm. And Reggie and Cage. Yeah, I figured it was the Minutemen ending. Velvet centrally compliments Calamity. Pip seeks quick egress.
Everybody seeks egress. But what she says specifically is she says that he's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Something every Dashite wants to hear. Be awesome.
The most awesome pony.
Can
you make it 20% cool?
I have a feeling that would be my virtue.
Your virtue would be making sourdough.
Aw, that's not much of a virtue.
So to figure out,
would I just be a baker pony? I'd just be an Earth baker pony. Now maybe I could be a Pegasus baker pony that I can make fire from my horn or something.
Yeah, something like that. So part of the plan is they have to figure out what the timetable is for the Enclave. So they have to figure out exactly when they need to be at a location, because they just don't know. They're like, we don't know when the Wonderbolts are going to come after us. So they realize they can actually intercept the communication using the pit buck by going up high enough, close enough to the...
We should say we skipped over. There was a visit to Tin Pony Tower.
We're getting into that. Because that was actually where the Velvet compliments Calamity.
Yes, but we didn't mention that they were at Tin Pony Tower.
Yes,
they were there first.
Yeah.
And in fact, the Griffins refused to get comfortable. They assume they're going to be attacked at any moment. And it's a little bit of foreshadowing. But they don't get attacked in the tower. But they do when they resolve themselves to go to Horseshoe Tower to collect information. They need to figure out what the Enclave's next step is.
Yeah, and you need to figure out what they're thinking. So they go into Horseshoe Tower to find Enclave fighting them, which is interesting because they're going back over where they fought all the Alicorns.
Yep.
And where Pip decapitated an Alicorn by stabbing it repeatedly in the neck with pretty much a sharp 2x4.
Yeah.
Pleasant.
Effective.
It worked.
It's dead.
If it's stupid, but it works. It ain't stupid.
That's right.
But they do meet Enclave resistance, and Cage is hit and killed.
Cage in this fight seems to make several tactical errors.
Yeah.
Instead of fighting smart, he seems to. You
do have to remember they are inside, which is not an area which a Griffin excels at combat-wise, and he's approaching his environment as though he were in open air.
He is also covered in knives.
Yes.
And his opponents are used to flying as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know.
It is a slightly different position to put themselves in. So I will say that.
I don't know. And he and Reggie are young, but they're very experienced. It just seemed like he made several insane tactical errors as plot conveniences.
Maybe, but it doesn't serve any kind of plot point.
No, not that I'm an expert on Cage. It's just
I mean, it doesn't really serve a plot point, so it's not even that. I just think it's just.
Well, it serves a plot point. He's dead. That's a plot point.
Yeah.
That's kind of important.
He died because he died.
It pisses off his sister. It's going to piss off God. It makes
of all the things you want to piss off, don't piss off God.
It makes Little Pip feel responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I was commenting on.
The entire story is just Little Pip feeling responsible.
Yeah. Guilt, unicorn guilt.
So they do actually manage to take down. They go to the top, like this corporate bar and lounge up in the top of Horseshoe Tower, and where they see an Enclave mainframe spelled exactly how you think it would be.
The whole time we're getting warnings too about
Cauterize.
Yeah, Operation Cauterize. Essentially, they're going to destroy the entire building.
Yep, they're going to. Well, they're trying to burn away all of Manhattan. So, as Little Pip is holding the last Enclave officer hostage, he says, "Look, you've got to need me to get in this mainframe so you can actually see what you need to see, because I know you need to see it. Also, tell Calamity hi."
Yeah.
She's like, "What?"
Well, he actually says, "I love my little brother."
Yeah.
No, he says, "Tell my little brother I love you," or something to that effect.
Yeah.
He uses the word love.
Yeah, it's Windshear. It actually ends up being Calamity's brother, which is funny because she didn't kill him.
Oh, and it turns out Windshear's not as big of a dick as the rest of them.
Yeah.
You know? he's their
thing.
Chief Communications officer.
I mean, he explains it himself. They were kids. They're gonna roughhouse because they're kids.
Right.
And when they got older and they started solidifying their own individual unique personalities, they all started distancing themselves from the extreme part of the group, including Autumn Leaf, which I wonder is a Colonel Autumn Leaf.
Yeah. Colonel Autumn Leaf, I presume.
So yeah. So we get
there is also something that they state that he says that Calamity's father wasn't always so hard, but when his mother died, the best part of his dad died too.
Yeah.
And then that's why Calamity was always treated as kind of like the whipping boy. He was just an easy target.
Yeah. So Pip gets the info required to figure out exactly what the time frame is for everything. They realize they have 32 hours, plus some probably time for the Wonderbolts to get some sleep because they're going to be in meetings and corporate councils and all this stuff for high councils.
But they will be leaving soon.
There's still a timetable. It's still set date. So there's always that fear. The Life, we already discussed this. Life Bloom joins the
we didn't say that it was Life Bloom.
No.
But yeah.
Life Bloom joins in. Zenith goes over the source of Nightmare Moon with a book that she read from Glyph, talking about how a star plummeted to the earth and corrupted the forest and corrupted Nightmare Moon.
Yeah, corrupted Luna.
And it was only the Elements of Armory that stopped the evil of the Everfree before they were taken by the main six.
Interesting. Well, there's also Zenith has a critique of Celestia, and that Celestia knew that her sister was stronger, and that Celestia ran away from problems.
This is actually a really, really interesting thing. I'm sure you've heard in psychology the concept of the kind king and the tyrant, right? Mm-hmm. You've heard of the concept, the kind king and the tyrant. How anybody can be one or both of those things at the same time. And it's interesting that you have Celestia and Luna becoming Nightmare Moon and her becoming the tyrant and Celestia being the kind king.
Yeah.
And so those two sisters embodying that dichotomy of rule.
Also, apparently they abandoned a castle in Everfree Forest.
Yes.
Was that the original castle of the princesses? Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's another thing that means nothing to me.
Yeah. So that was an interesting thing that actually managed to manifest itself. There were those two opposing forces that are kind of like opposing psychological personality forces.
Apparently, somewhere buried in Everfree Forest is that star that crashed to the Earth still.
Yeah. It's terrifying. Some source of great evil. So we talk about memory orb number 8. I put a Lenny face on there.
Well, what it comes up as is Little Pip says to convince the Twilight Society. I understand you must have blasted my memories into their heads.
Yeah,
and he's like, except 8.
Yeah,
and I had to wipe that one from my memory too. I
don't remember it at all. They don't need to see it. They don't need to see it.
Yeah. Well, but the other interesting thing is like Pip's really embarrassed. And the way he says it is a little bit insulting. And he says, I've known Homage for years. I don't want to remember her that way.
Yeah.
Don't take any offense to this. It's just, I don't need that image of Homage in my head.
Okay. So the group, after some rest, make their way to the Everfree in time for the Wonderbolts to grab Pip's Pip-Buck tag from the terminal in Iron Shod Firearms.
And they basically explode out of it and start flying towards them. Mm-hmm. They make a huge ruckus.
Yeah.
I mean, they definitely announce that they're there.
Because they're show-offs.
They're showboats. Yeah. This is just another air show.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I'm surprised they don't have, rainbow-colored streamers flying behind them, smoke in the sky.
They do. They actually do.
Oh my god.
So they're incoming, and as the group is trying to escape in the Sky Bandit, the Wonderbolts take an expert shot and take out the battery and the power system for the Sky Bandit.
This thing's gonna blow.
Yeah. So
they from the beginning, it was always described as a flying bomb.
Effectively, yes.
Yeah.
So
essentially, you're sitting on a bomb.
So they all have to run, and they all get out of it and land quite harshly in front of 2 things. One, a rather stern-looking stone rabbit.
Yeah, again, doesn't mean anything to me, but I figured that was something from the show.
Yellow tree with pink leaves.
It's a willow tree, if I remember correctly.
Yes, with blue vines all around its base.
All right. Tell me the thing I have no idea what this is.
Okay, you remember the bunny that Rarity extracted the memory from?
Mm-hmm. Angel Bunny. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that bunny?
Yeah, I do.
Say hello to that bunny.
What do you mean?
That's that bunny.
That stone statue is that bunny.
That stone statue is the bunny. Now anyone who watches the show is going to pick up on that instantly. That's not a shocker or a surprise. A rather stern-looking protective rabbit. That's Angel Bunny. There's kind of this asshole that protects Fluttershy.
Why is it stone?
That's also explained in the show.
Okay, are you going to explain it to me, or do I have to wait till the next chapter?
There's creatures called cockatrices. I'm sure you know them from D&D.
No, actually, I don't know cockatrices.
Okay, they're like they're like half lizard, half chicken, and they anything they look at petrifies.
Interesting.
And we are in front of a tree which is yellow and has pink leaves. Would you like to take a guess as to what that is?
Well, those are Fluttershy's colors.
Those are Fluttershy's colors. Okay, so the blue vines are representative, and you'll find this out because they'll actually say this at the beginning of the next episode or next chapter. The blue vines are something called it's called Killing Joke here. It's I forget what they're called in the actual show. That's terrible. Poison joke, which is this blue flower that kind of takes a concept that you said or thought or some kind of actual metaphysical thing and turn it into a real live facet.
Okay.
So
what you're trying to tell me is that Fluttershy is the tree?
Fluttershy is a tree. Because in one episode in the show, she said, I'd like to be a tree.
Great. So, Velvet will enjoy herself.
Yeah.
So, what's it like being a tree?
That's really neat.
Actually, it wouldn't be the first talking tree to be in a Fallout story.
No, not at all.
Well,
I'm just kidding with you. His name's Bob.
Yeah. That character was in 2 games. 3? He was in Fallout 1, 2, and 3?
He was in Fallout 1, 2, and 3.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Wasn't he? I think he was referenced in Fallout 4, but obviously due to the nature of what happened in Fallout 3, that he couldn't be there.
Yeah. Anyways.
There's that.
So fascinating. Oh, also Pip is hurt like hell again.
Shocker.
Yeah, because whereas Zenith like rolled out of the falling cart and like landed expertly, softly squarely on her feet, Pip fell like a dog on her side. Just wham!
It's good.
Bruised,
it's good to know that Zenith is absolutely all right and nothing bad will happen.
From mane to hoof.
And of course, you're.
Oh, come on.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Come
you're
on.
Good. You're good.
Come on. If I'm gonna have to adopt your stupid terms, I should at least get some praise when I use them. Okay.
From forelock to fetlock.
Oh, jeez.
That's better. Admit it. Admit it. You were overdone.
Yeah. Sure. Great.
So, would you like to, at this point, do that thing, that voodoo
that I do so well?
So well.
I don't know. I don't know if I have it in me this week.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just skip over it.
No. I mean, I'll do it if you want to do it.
I mean, I'm always down for it.
All right. The Pony Pun of the Week! Chris, would you like to do the honors and read the Pony Pun of the Week?
Sure, because you didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was.
The Pony Pun of the Week is Hoofers International, giving ponies to families and communities in need.
For just a few cents a day, you too can send a hoofer to a pony in need.
No, pony too. For anyone who doesn't know, it's Heifers International, which is a charity organization that gives like livestock to third world countries and stuff to help them farm.
There's a similar one that does goats.
Yeah,
instead of cows.
But
and really, goats are more durable.
Yeah, but
they breed quicker too.
Mm-hmm. Also tasty.
Yeah, harder to have sex with.
Well, I mean, it depends on. Ask your parents what stump broke means, kids.
Oh God, jeez, that's the title for the episode there. All right, how about some listener questions?
Okay, so we got 3 this time around from the one of them is a little more liberal with the concept of question than probably otherwise. Okay. Omega first asks, how do you think the events in the book would turn out if our heroes, quotes, had also misspelled, had a changeling pre-reformation on the team, and how do you think changelings would survive in the Equestrian Wasteland? There are actually a few, I think there's a few side fics that cover that. One of them is the Chrysalis, and then there's a few others. I haven't read them, but they do make an interesting point. How does a creature which survives on pretty much being a succubus, because they suck on love and they can change their shape to be whatever, so they kind of exist as succubi. Just more in the Disney-esque, happy, friendly family version where all you have to do is give them a hug.
Here's the story. When kkat writes the sequel to this,
when
the changelings can be your synths.
Yeah.
It can work very similarly in the storyline.
Yep.
Because essentially what they're doing is they're imitating life for their own gain.
Yeah.
That's what as I understand what a changeling does.
Yeah, that would be a good analogy to answer that, is that the changeling character would kind of act like a synth, but a synth who is live manifest can actually change their thing to be whatever.
Yeah.
I think the changeling would actually undermine Little Pip's abilities in their group, because Little Pip is the sneaky, stealthy one. Well,
except for Zenith.
Who's
on a whole nother level.
Yeah. But the... Okay, kkat, you considered what? I need more information. Are we considering the sequel, or are we considering just putting a changeling in the group? Or making it sense. But the... Yeah, that would be the interesting thing is how to feed them, because they have to feed off of love.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to, and how do you live off of love in that kind of environment? So there you go.
Last Place asks, well, if Little Pip does take over the sky, it makes you wonder what role the Pegasi would take up on the surface when they can't even make good weather for the land that they'll be dropped into.
That is partially intentional. You'll have to Last Place that actually has to deal with that has to deal with the fact that a lot of their infrastructure, like their farms, are literally planted on the clouds. So every single time they clear out the clouds, they're getting rid of their own food supply, and they'll have to replant it. Really terrible tactics. And I would argue as well, they don't know what the hell it's like to fight in the rain. So they have no idea why it would suck, because they don't have the concept of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for having some alto stratus go
I mean,
top.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. They're going to have to integrate.
Yeah. And they're not going to be liked.
No, there's going to be a little bit of resentment.
Just a
hair, smidgen of resentment.
A little bit. Pinch.
But friendship is magic.
Friendship
and
is
time heals all wounds. Then again, war never changes.
All
right. We have one last question.
Yes.
Sort of.
Agent MLP 412. Dang nice chapter. When you play Fallout again, can you use some MLP mods?
I assume there are MLP mods.
There are a few, yeah. You have the Crimes Against Humanity mods, which just change all the characters in the Wasteland to ponies. Like people that have giant pony heads.
That's deeply unsettling.
Yeah. I like it for Fallout 4. It's actually kind of fun. Because it changed all the raiders to ponies, and so headshots were easy.
Yeah, I would imagine so. You know what? I would enjoy doing that.
We'd probably do the Fallout 4 version.
Yeah.
They do a full UI swap and everything. It's actually really fun.
Yeah. Well, in Fallout. So, I don't know. People may not feel this way, but when it came down to mechanics and shooting mechanics, Fallout 4 was the most enjoyable.
Oh, yeah. Fallout. I don't think anyone is going to argue that Fallout 4 had the best gunplay. It did.
Moonblaze agrees with me that it's deeply unsettling.
Oh, yeah.
See, essentially what it does is it makes the ponies like Egyptian gods because they have the body of a man with the head of a pony.
Yeah.
That's
Egyptians were the original fur fags.
And not with normal horse eyes. Big, cartoonish, crazy eyes. So yeah, maybe we can do that. If y'all would like that, I'm sure we could figure out some way to record that and stream that.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. It'd be great. It'd be wonderful.
All right. Are there any other questions that we've missed?
I'm trying to go through them on here to see if the phone would like to work and not be.
But anyways, well, while he's looking that up, I will tell you, you can always follow us on Twitter at CriscoCast. You can also find us on Facebook at Chrisco Industries. If you're watching us on YouTube, please find the podcast at thefollyman.libsyn.com. You can also find us in the Google Play and iTunes music stores, respectively, for podcasts. But of course, you can get the RSS feed direct. And please don't hesitate to email us at cbpbch@gmail.com. Again, that is cbpbch@gmail.com. Any questions we've missed out?
Not really questions, but there are some things people said. I need to show you Flutter Guy.
What?
Exactly. It kind of explains the whole poison joke thing. It was from one of the episodes.
Okay.
So we may hold off on that until the end so you actually get a good reference for it.
Okay.
Somebody says there was a pony mod for SCP Containment Breach, which I think changed the model to, was it Fluttershy? Can't remember. It actually changed like the evil creature model that hunts you down.
Travis Souped says, what is the nature of a hero?
Well, what is the measure of a man?
I would say that a hero is ultimate sacrifice. It's the needs of the many outweighing the needs of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
of the one.
Of the few or the one.
Yes.
If we're going to quote Star Trek directly. Star Trek was described aptly for me the other day. Somebody said, I don't enjoy Star Trek. I tolerate it. Or I endure it.
You endure it. Oh, boy. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's see. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
This is some good pod, Chris.
just...
All right. If you have nothing else to add, thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the show. Tell your friends. Tell your moms. Tell your teachers. Tell your doctor. Your lawyer if you're being subpoenaed. Any of those individuals are perfect.
Tell your indictment officer.
Yeah, there you go. Your parole officer. Yeah. Yes, I have stayed clean, and yes, I'm staying in the state, but there's a great podcast that you should check out.
For the one person who's actually on parole who's going to do that.
Yeah, their ankle bracelet is beeping. As always, we appreciate the love and support. We wouldn't do it if y'all didn't tune in. So thanks for hopping in on the live stream. Thanks for listening. Thanks for telling your friends. For Chris, I'm Robert, and this has been a very high-def Foally of Man. For those of you who watched, those of you listening at home, screw you. Check out the YouTube channel.
Still high def.
That's true. It is high def.
It is high def.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see y'all next week.